Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. We are in 115th session of the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle, and we are discussing chapter 10. And we have already covered about 34 verses in the 10th chapter. So there are very beautiful things that we are going to discuss in the upcoming verses today. And there are some interesting stories which we would like to understand, because these are some great personalities which Krishna is going to mention in the verses, and we should know the background of these great personalities. And in the previous session, we had discussed extensively about how Krishna is saying, I'm the beginning, I'm the middle, and I'm the future of everything that exists, especially the living beings, right? And then we also understood about what is Jalpa and Vitanda, how he says that of all the arguments, I'm the final conclusion. And then he also said that how Krishna is actually the time factor. He is the Kala Chakra, and we have discussed so much about the Kala Chakra, the whole uh, timetable for that matter. Timetable. We had a timetable which we discussed right from the smallest unit of time to the biggest unit of time. So we understood so many things about time, right? So going forward, there are some more very interesting things that Krishna is going to speak in the 35th verse and a few other verses later on. So we'll try to cover as much as possible today. So let's join our palms and chant the pranam mantras. You can all chant along with me the pranam mantras. Let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. So, in the previous verse, we had understood Mrityu sarvaharaschaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam kirtihi shrir vakchanarinam smritir medha dhatikshama. So, how Krishna is Mrityu. Mrityu, he is death personified. And that moment, the last moment of our life, which is called death, is Krishna. And then Udbhavascha Bhavishyatam. And he says, Kirti Shrir Vakcha Narinam Smritir Meda Dhatikshama. He is basically trying to explain the wonderful feminine qualities among women. I am fame, fortune, I am fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. So all these things are very beautifully explained, and we have understood that how each one of these qualities are worthwhile to be imbibed in our own lives. Very, very important. We should actually have an endeavor to get these qualities in our life. Some are God given, and some we can acquire through our own efforts. That's very important, right? And in today's verse, Dev, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the verse for today. Achutanji, thank you so much for joining on YouTube. Hare Krishna. So, Brihat Sama Tata Samnam
बृहत्सामा तथा साम्ना
Gayatri Chandasamaham
गायत्री छन्दसामहम्
Masana Marga Shirshoham
मासानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहम्
Rutunam Kusumakaraha
ऋतूनां कुसुमाकरः
Once again, Brihatsama Tata Samna
बृहत्सामा तथा साम्ना
Gayatri Chandasamaham
गायत्री छन्दसामहम्
Masanam Margashirshoham
मासानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहम्
Rutunam Kusumakaraha.
ऋतूनां कुसुमाकरः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Of the hymns in the Samaveda, I am Brihat Sam, and of poetry I am the Gayatri. Of months I am Margashirsha, November, December, and of seasons I am flower bearing spring. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna. So there are very interesting things here. Krishna is saying that how of the hymns I am the Samaveda, Brihat Sama. So there is Samaveda, there are four Vedas, and Samaveda, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, right? Rig Veda. So all these four Vedas, the topmost is Samaveda, and in that Samaveda, there is a section called Brihat Sama. So this Brihat Sama is a very special poetic compositions which are generally sung in the midnight. So the raga is so beautiful that generally that these are sung in the midnight, and Krishna is saying, "I am the Brihat Sama." Out of all the things which are there in the Samaveda, there is a section called Brihat Sama, and I am that beautiful poetic section. So this is what Krishna is saying here, right? So this is very interesting. Then Krishna is also further going to say that among the poetry, I am the Gayatri. So what is this? There is a difference between poetry, which is kavya, and there is something called as kavi, which is the poet. The poet is explained in the next verse, but now in this verse, Krishna is saying, I am the poetry. Poetry means he's saying that Gayatri. Now, we have very beautifully understood that how the very first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam also tends to talk about the Gayatri. जन्माद्यस्य तोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेष्वभिघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यम param dhimahi. So, what is this Satyam Param Dhimahi? Actually, is referring to the Gayatri Mantra. Very special. Now, Gayatri Mantra, which is actually given to us by which Rishi? Dev, do you remember?
Vishwamitra Prabhuji?
Yes, exactly. So, it's a very, very powerful mantra. Now, Gayatri Mantra, it's actually meant for our self realization. So, anybody who is actually willing to progress in spiritual life, he is given diksha. He takes initiation from a spiritual master. So when he takes initiation, which is especially meant for God realization, why do we take initiation from a spiritual master? Because we are serious about God realization. We don't want to realize anything matter. We want to realize ourselves and we want to realize God. And for that, this Gayatri Mantra represents Lord Krishna. Gayatri Mantra, which has 24 syllables in this. And this mantra cannot be chanted loudly and should not be chanted loudly. Gayatri Mantra should be chanted very softly. It's actually in the mind, not even softly. Gayatri Mantra should be chanted in the mind only by those who are qualified and who have taken initiation, who are following the Brahminical qualities, who are following the Brahminical principles. Those people, those great sages can actually chant Gayatri Mantra. Now, we also have heard about the Brahmastra, right? There are Brahmastra where Arjuna has released, Ashwatthama has released. What do they actually chant when they release these weapons? It's a Gayatri Mantra. Just the way they chant it, it's different. There are different meters in which these mantras are chanted. When specifically you chant these mantras, the Gayatri Mantra also, in that specific chandas, then with that specific meter, it invokes a certain energy, it invokes a certain quality. And that is what Krishna is telling, that Gayatri Mantra He is a powerful mantra through which you can realize me. And he's saying that out of all these different things that I have mentioned to you, among the poetries, I am the Gayatri Mantra. It's a very beautiful composition, actually. And like earlier, also, I have mentioned that this Gayatri Mantra cannot be chanted by women, right? uh, the women who are having their monthly cycles cannot chant Gayatri Mantra. But today we have Gayatri Mantra in the doorbells also. Many people have, when you go and ring the bell, and there is Gayatri Mantra going on there. So these are all unauthorized ways of chanting the Gayatri Mantra. It should not be publicized. It cannot be on loudspeakers. Gayatri Mantra cannot be chanted loudly. It should not be on loudspeakers. But today, because people do not know, that's the problem. And especially during the three sandhyas, that the morning sandhya, the afternoon sandhya, and the evening sandhyas, Gayatri Mantra should be chanted by all the initiated devotees, especially those who are second initiated, who have taken Brahman Diksha. They have to chant the Gayatri Mantra. And Gayatri Mantra, because the women cannot chant, the husband has to chant. So if you see the Upavita, when you see there is Upavita, that Janivara, which we say, which generally men wear, a brahmachari has three strands. But whereas a grihastha, he has six strands because he has to chant for the wife also. So that is the principle. And of course, sannyasis, they have nine strands, and they actually have nine strands in the Upavita because they are connected with the Lord, they are connected completely, absorbed, they are detached completely, they have nine strands. So now, this is all about Gayatri Mantra. It's very, very special. Gayatri Mantra, we should understand the intricacies that nobody should uh, take this lightly. Chanting of the Gayatri Mantra. Cannot many people say, Prabhu, can I just chant the Gayatri Mantra and skip the Hare Krishna Mantra because I feel more comfortable and I actually feel very powerful when I chant Hare Krishna, the Gayatri Mantra. No doubt, actually, you feel really, really powerful when you chant Gayatri Mantra. But if you are not qualified, it will not give you the full effect. So that is why it should be chanted by those only who are qualified. And then of the months, I am the Margashira, November and December. He's saying that this is a very, very special month. Why? Because Margashira month is considered to be one of the first month of the Vedic calendar. So in the first month of the Vedic calendar, what happens is, in the month of Margashira, there are a lot of crops which are uh, crops and grains which are harvested in India and from the fields. So this is a time where people are very joyous because there is a new growth and there are so much of foodstuff that is being harvested. So people feel very happy. So that's why Krishna is saying that I am considered the best among the months, because any month that makes you very happy, um, uh, that gives joy. Krishna is saying, I am that special month, Margashira. And of the seasons, then Krishna is going to say that of the seasons, I am the Rutu. So there is a, we have seen that Rutunam Kusumakaraha, the spring. Now we have so many beautiful pastimes in the spring time of when there is Radha and Krishna and the gopis. The Rasa Leela was performed during the time of spring. It's a very special month and it has its own ecstasy, it has its own glory. And Krishna likes to perform wonderful pastime, very pleasant pastime in the pleasant season, and that is Rutukala, right? So Kusuma Karaha, so it's a very auspicious thing. So Krishna has said these things in the 35th verse. Let's also chant the 36th verse now. So Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the 36th verse. Dyutam chalayatam. Okay, let me unmute yourself. Okay. Once again, let's chant once again. Dyutam chalayatamasmi.
द्यूतं चलयतामस्मि
Tejas tejasvinamaham.
तेजस्तेजस्विना अहम्
Jayosmi vyavasayosmi.
जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायस्मि
Sattvam sattvatamaham.
सत्वं सत्वतामहम्
Once again. Dyutam chalayatamasmi.
द्यूतं चलयतामस्मि
Tejas tejasvinamaham.
तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम्
Jayosmi vyavasayosmi.
जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायोऽस्मि
Sattvam Sattvatamaham.
सत्त्वं सत्त्वतामहम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is another very, very interesting uh, words here. Krishna is saying, I am also the gambling of the cheats. Now, we all know that out of the four regulative principles, one is gambling. We have to avoid gambling. Gambling is something that puts you into anxiety. Now, earning money is not wrong. Everybody can earn a lot of money, and as much as you want, you can earn a lot of money. But then earning money, the source of earning money, which makes you anxious and disturbs your mind, that is gambling. Now, there are so many ways people are trying to gain through online games, and there is the stock market, and there are many people who try to invest in so many fraudulent systems, and then they gamble with people and money. And then what happens is that disturbs their mind. They become very anxious because they're not very certain about whether the money is going to be there or not going to be there the next day, right? So there are so many uncertainties involved. So when there is uncertainties involved like this while earning money, that actually is called gambling. So now gambling also leads to a lot of greed. So when people become greedy, they get into gambling. A lot of people go to these casinos and they want to enjoy and try to get more and more money. Why? Because there is a lot of money involved. And they think that, okay, let me try and gamble and hopefully I'll get more money. So now Krishna is saying, of the cheats, I'm gambling. What does this mean? Now, it doesn't mean that Krishna is encouraging, okay, now you go, I'm the gambling out of all the cheats, so you can go and gamble. No, it's not like that. Krishna is just trying to say that if anybody is trying to cheat me, I'm the greatest cheater. And Shakuni was trying to do that, isn't it? Shakuni thought that, okay, I'll play this game, I'll play that game, I'll try to put the Pandavas into the forest, I'll play the gambling match, I'll put Yudhishthira into big trouble, and all that he did. But ultimately, Krishna played the final game. He can cheat anyone. So Krishna is saying, in every respect, I'm superior because he's the supreme. So Krishna says that nobody can be more deceitful than me. So when Krishna chooses to deceive any person, that person just cannot surpass Krishna because he's deceived like that. He can create illusion something in such a way that nobody can actually overcome that. We know the best example of Jayadratha. You all know about Jayadratha, how everyone was trying to protect him, isn't it? On the final day when Arjuna had taken the vow that, okay, I'm going to kill Jayadratha. If not, I will kill myself. That was Arjuna's vow. And then you know that whole day was about to pass, and then Jayadratha was not to be found. Arjuna was fighting all of his best. He could try, killed so many people trying to reach Jayadratha, but Jayadratha was in hiding, and everybody was trying to put a lot of obstacles to the movement of Arjuna, and he could not. Arjuna could not on his own, could not actually go towards Jayadratha. But then Krishna, what did he do? Actually, he took his Sudarshana Chakra and then he released it and then he covered the sun. And then, oh, this was all plan of Shakuni. But by the way, Shakuni could not overcome the plan of Krishna. Because then when the sun actually, which was covered by Sudarshana, felt like as if there is now Suryasta and Jayadratha came out. And then finally what happened? Immediately the Sudarshana was released out and then sun appeared. And Arjuna, without wasting a moment, he shot an arrow and killed Jayadratha. That's it. And the killing of Jayadratha, beautiful. That's another thing. But then the point here is Krishna is saying, I am the cheat. Now, what happens is in gambling is it increases our greed to the extent that we really don't care about people's life. So when people become greedy, they don't really care for others' life because for a person who is greedy, his life is what? Money. So when somebody takes away money from a greedy person, he feels as if his life is being taken. So in order to protect his own life, that is money, he is ready to take somebody else's life. So there was this very horrible incident, which I had read an article long time ago. There was this a very big hospital called the Sunrise Hospital in Las Vegas. And you know that Las Vegas is a mecca for gambling. So there was this huge hospital called the Sunrise Hospital. And in this hospital, it was noticed that when they did a survey that people, especially those who were terminally ill, they would die anytime. They were about to die at any moment, and this they saw that these terminally ill people were dying much before than expected. So when they found out, the police tried to find out after the survey, they understood that actually these terminally ill patients were dying early because the nurses in the hospital were gambling on the patients. They were gambling on the patients, saying that, okay, when will this person die? Okay, he's going to die today. He's going to die tomorrow. They will gamble. Okay, he's going to die day after. They used to gamble on that. And when some nurse, she felt that, okay, I'm going to lose the gambling match, she used to go and turn off the oxygen cylinder and they used to kill the patient. It is a horrific situation. Now you can imagine how people can gamble on people and make money. This is a horrific situation. So, very terrible situation, and we should not actually get into this gambling for any reason, right? So now, among the splendid, I am the splendor. So anything beautiful that you see in this nature, anything that is very, very splendorous, Krishna is saying the splendor is coming from me. The spark of that splendor is me. Among the victory, I am victory. He's saying I am victory. So when a person is victorious, that element of victory or that joy that comes, that joy of victory is me. I am adventure. So there are many people who try to go and do a lot of adventure, and adventure doesn't mean that you go and do some bungee jumping and call, okay, this is Krishna, I'll go and do bungee jumping. That is not adventure and that is not Krishna consciousness. So we should never go and try thinking that, okay, I'm doing some Krishna conscious activity by doing some bungee jumping. So it's not, bungee jumping is not Krishna conscious activity, okay? So there are many people who go on surfing and they do some sort of adventure. This is not Krishna. Krishna is not this sort of adventure. Adventure is, okay, if you're going to Himalaya and for tapasya for next 6 months or 7 months, probably that can be called as an adventure. If you're going on a Padyatra from Mumbai to Pandharpur, along with the Varkaris, okay, that's an adventure. Now then you can actually go and celebrate with them. That is an adventure. So Krishna is saying this sort of adventure is me, the spiritual adventures, right? And the best adventure or adventurous life is led by whom? I had told you a very beautiful story. Do you remember? The adventurous life. And because looking at this adventure, Krishna got so attracted to this personality and he made him his personal servant. Any guess? Looking at the adventure of great personality, Krishna made him a personal servant. Do you know who is this? Actually, the life of Garuda. So Garuda's whole life is an adventurous life. So looking at the adventurous life of Garuda, the way he protected his mother from the curse of who was the mother? Vainateya and Kadru, right? So this adventurous life of Garuda actually made him so attractive towards Krishna. Krishna actually made him his personal servant, making him a Vahana, right? So adventure, this kind of an adventure, Krishna is saying, I am that. And I am the strength of the strong. So we know that, when I was in school, I used to have this, photos of all these wrestlers, the WWF wrestlers in my room. And they used to have the big personalities who had a lot of strength and physical strength. And, it at that age, it gives you a certain pleasure when you are trying to associate with some very strong people. You want to build yourself like that. So Krishna is saying, I'm the strength of the strong. Why is he saying this? Because at the tender age of 7, can you imagine, at the tender age of 7, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill on his little finger of the left hand. and without any effort, because he was also playing the flute. So this is very interesting. So now Krishna is playing the flute and lifting the Govardhan. So you can imagine his strength. And then there are so many planets floating in the space, all because of Krishna. So it is unlimited energy. Krishna is the strongest. Just cannot think about Krishna's strength. A very, very powerful, a very powerful personality. So Krishna is saying, anybody, when you see any strong person, when there are great fighters or there are great warriors, there are Maharathis, the strength within them is what Krishna is. Krishna is saying, I am that strength. So he's an adventure, he is strength, he is victory, and he's also the gambling. Right? So this is what Krishna has told. So Dave, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse, 37th verse. This is also another very interesting verse. Vrishninam Vasudevosmi
Vrishninam Vasudevosmi.
Pandavanam Dhanasjaya.
Pandavanam Dhanasjaya.
Sorry, it is Dhananjaya. That's a mistake. Pandavanam Dhananjaya.
Pandavanam Dhananjaya.
Muninam apyaham Vyasaha.
Muninam api aham Vyasaha.
Kavinam Ushana Kavihi.
Kavinam Ushana Kavihi.
Once again, Vrishninam Vasudevosmi.
Vrishninam Vasudevosmi.
Pandavanam Dhananjaya.
Pandavanam Dhananjaya.
Muninam apyaham Vyasaha.
Muninam api aham Vyasaha.
Kavinam Ushana Kavihi.
Kavinam Ushana Kavihi.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva. And of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa. And among the great thinkers, I am Ushana. Hare Krishna.
So very interesting verse, and let's try to understand this verse a little bit. So he's saying that of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva. Now, tell me one thing. Among the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, he's saying. Who is Vasudeva? Who is Vasudeva?
Prabhuji, Vasudeva and Vasudev. So Vasudeva is Vasudev's son, that is Krishna only, no?
Correct. So Vasudeva is Krishna's father, and here
Correct.
Krishna is saying, among the
He's
Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. So what does it mean that, among the Vrishnis, the Krishna is himself saying, I am Krishna.
Yes.
So is it fitting? What does it mean? Is there any other Vasudeva here? Among the Vrishnis, I am the Vasudeva. Why he has to say this specifically now? Why is he saying like this? This is a little confusing. He could have just told, I am Krishna and I am, but he's saying, I am Vasudeva. What does it mean? Whom is he referring? Is there any other Vasudeva other than Krishna? Why is he saying, I am the opulence, my own opulence? Krishna's opulence, I am the opulence of myself. He's saying like that. It's Vibhuti. He's trying to explain one of his Vibhuti. He's saying, among the Krishna, I am Vasudeva, and Vasudeva is himself. Why is he saying like this? Or do you think of there is any other Vasudeva? Yeah. Dave, you can unmute and you can say.
Yeah, I think Balram. Actually, I read the purport, but yeah.
Okay. Good. So the point here is actually, you see now, Vasudeva had two sons. Of course, he had 8 sons altogether, but the 6 sons were killed. But then Balaram was born to Devaki, but then transferred to Rohini. Correct? So in that sense, Balaram is also Vasudeva because he is the son of Vasudeva. Correct? So Krishna is saying, among all the Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. So that Vasudeva actually refers to Baladev, in this particular verse. In this verse, this Vasudeva actually refers. So actually when we say Vasudeva, it can refer Krishna. Krishna is also Vasudeva. Balaram is also Vasudeva because both are the sons of Vasudev, right? So here Balaram is being referred to as one of the opulence of the Lord. So you can imagine, actually, there is no difference between Krishna and Balaram in one sense, but still Krishna is saying that Balaram is my opulence. What is that opulence, Balaram? What is this? Why Balaram is called as an opulence here? So we should understand, actually, it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that how the very first expansion of Krishna is Balaram. Why this expansion happened at the very first place? Why it happens? Because whenever there is a time for creating the material world, there needs to be expansion. Otherwise, Krishna really have no business with the material world, and anyway, he's enjoying in the spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan, and he really doesn't want to come out of Golok Vrindavan. Krishna always stays in Golok Vrindavan. He never comes out of Golok Vrindavan. So if you consider that, okay, Krishna is always going to be in Golok Vrindavan, then who will actually take care of the material world? So then Krishna expands himself into Balarama. So when Balarama is expanded, I mean, he comes out, then there are further expansions that happen. So Srimad Bhagavatam explains that there is something called as the first quadruple expansion. So what is that first quadruple expansion? So when Balaram comes, there are further 4 expansions that happen. That is Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So these are called the first quadruple expansion. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So now, when these first quadruple expansions have taken place, Sankarshana further expands into Narayana. So out of these 4, there is Sankarshana who actually expands into Narayana. And then Narayana further expands into the second quadruple expansion, that is Vasudeva, Mahasankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So there is first set of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And from Sankarshana comes Narayan. And from Narayana, there is again the second quadruple expansion, that is Vasudeva, Mahasankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And from the second quadruple expansion, the Mahasankarshana, there is an expansion of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu then further expands into Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Further expansion happens into Shirodakshay Vishnu. So this is the process of expansions that takes place when this material world has to be created. Right? So that is why Krishna is saying here that out of all the Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva, which is Balarama. So Balarama is one of the greatest opulence, which actually expands into so many different avatars. Very special. Right? So this is the process that we should know that Krishna is trying to explain here. So actually Balaram is the original source of all the incarnations, all the different expansions and incarnations that we see in this material world or even in the spiritual world. They are actually coming out of Balarama. So Balaram is the first expansion of Krishna. Balaram is the soul. Prabhupada is saying he is the sole source of Vasudeva. Vasudeva, which is one of the quadruple expansion, right? And very interestingly, Krishna is saying here, the very next verse, if you carefully see, there is very interesting. Krishna is saying that among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna, I am Dhananjaya. I just wonder how Arjuna would have reacted to this particular statement of Krishna, because he's speaking to Arjuna and he's saying, among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Now, the question comes, why is Krishna saying, I am Arjuna? He could have said Bhima, he could have said Yudhishthira, he could say Sahadeva, Nakul, but he's saying, Krishna is saying that I am Dhananjaya. Dev, any guess? Why is he saying that I am Dhananjaya?
I feel, Prabhuji, the focus of Arjuna as a warrior was very great.
Great, but he was illusioned, totally confused person. He's in a chaotic situation right now. And because he's so confused and he's so illusioned, he's asking questions. He's saying, I cannot fight, oh Krishna, please forgive me. I don't want to fight. He's totally confused person. Now, do you think that Krishna is saying, this is my opulence? Illusioned person is my opulence?
No.
He would not say that, right? Definitely not. So Arjuna is not illusion, but Arjuna is representing illusion people like us. He is not illusion. Krishna will never call a illusion person like Arjuna to be his opulence. Arjuna is not illusion. So this is a very clear thing. We should know that when Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the very first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, why that Vishada is there first of all? That Vishada is not Arjuna's Vishada, it is actually our Vishada in this material. That lamentation is not his, he is representing us. Both Arjuna and Krishna are actually expansion of Nara, Nara and Rishis. They are together always, Nara and Narayana. So Arjuna and Krishna, they will always be together. Right? So of the Pandavas, he's saying, I am Dhananjaya. Very, very special. Right? And this is something very interesting. He says further that of the sages, I am Vyasa, and among the great thinkers, I am Ushana. So let's first understand who is Vyasa and Ushana later. So now, although we know briefly about Vyasadev, now he's saying among all the munis, Krishna is saying that among of all the sages, I am the Vyasa. So we should know a little bit of background of Vyasadev. We read Bhagavad Gita, we read Bhagavatam. We should know a little bit of about the author also. And Vyasa is not an ordinary personality. He is an incarnation, Shaktavesh Avatara of the Lord. Now, why did he appear? Why Krishna had to appear as Vyasadeva, first of all? Why? What is the cause or what is the reason for Vyasadeva to appear? When Narsimha came, the cause was Prahlada. So similarly, for any incarnation, there is a reason. So what is the reason for Krishna to appear as Vyasadeva? So this is a very interesting story and you should carefully listen to this. It's very important. So just like, there are different times in the Vedic history where the Vedas are lost or Vedas are stolen. There was a demon called Madhu and he stole the Vedas from Brahma. He took away. And it has to be again, the Haigriva Rupa of the Lord had to retrieve back the Vedas. So similarly, Buddha came, he rejected the Vedas, and then later on Shankaracharya had to come and reinstate the Vedas. So there was another instance where the Vedas or the knowledge of the Vedas was lost. So this is very interesting and there is a connection that we should know. So we know that Lord Shiva is called Gangadhara. Gangadhara because he has Ganga on his head. He takes Ganga on his head, that's why he's called Gangadhara. But Ganga being on the head of Shiva, this was not liked by Mother Parvati. She was saying, why Ganga is all the time on the head of my husband? Which wife will like, somebody else coming on the head and residing? So she didn't want this. So Mother Parvati said, actually, this is going to be, and she was too annoyed and she said that I want to do something about it. So she told Ganesha that you go on earth and you just act according to my plan. So they had a plan. So what happened was, on the planet Earth, there was a huge famine. There was a drought and people had no proper food and no water. So it was a big problem. And people across were having a lot of problem. And then the Brahmanas especially were troubled. So somehow most of the Brahmanas, they were traveling and they came to the ashram of Gautama Rishi. Now Gautama Rishi, his ashram was spotless. Because of his being so powerful, his ashram had all the food, all the water, and everything was wonderful there. So all these great Brahmanas, so many Brahmanas, they took shelter of this ashram of Gautama. And days passed by, months passed by, and they were really very happy and everything was very good, including Gautama Rishi. They were all very happy. Now, Ganesha comes once to these Brahmanas And they all were very respectful towards Ganesha. But Ganesha tells, "Oh Brahmanas, you have been staying here in the ashram of Gautama for such a long time. You should also have an independent ashram. You should all go now. It's quite some time that you're staying here. It doesn't look good. You should all go and have your own ashrams, create your own field of work. Why you have to be dependent on Gautama Rishi?" So he kind of instigated, put this kida in the mind of this Brahmanas. Ganesha said this, and then they all thought, okay, this is a good idea. We should also have an independent ashram. And then they all go to Gautama Rishi, and with a lot of respects, they say, "Gautama Rishi, you have been very hospitable to us, and you have been really very kind. In our great dangers, you have helped us. But now it's time that we actually go and start move towards some other place." But Gautama Rishi said, "Oh Brahmanas, it was my pleasure, and I'm really very happy that you're all here, and I'm able to serve all of you. So please do not go. I want all of you to be here and continue to be here." Now, there was a dvandva within the minds of the Brahmanas because they wanted to go, but here they could not also disrespect Gautama, and they were in a delusion now. What should we do? They were in the dharma sankata. What should we do? So they somehow, although they were not very happy staying, but then they stayed back. Then Ganesha again comes and then again tells, "See, O Brahmanas, you have acquired a lot of powers. By your tapas shakti, you have a lot of powers. So why don't you create a cow? A cow which is so delicate that just a blade of grass, when it touches the cow, it should die." So it was all planned, and then they created this cow, which was very, very delicate. And then Gautama Rishi comes, and he comes close. He doesn't even touch the cow. Just when he comes close to this cow, the cow dies. And all these Brahmanas, they make a big hue of this, and they say that, "Oh Gautama Rishi, you have done Gohatya. Now we cannot stay. We cannot stay in your ashram because you have done Gohatya." Now Gautama Rishi was thinking, how is it possible? I cannot do Gohatya. It's not done by me. I have not even touched this cow. I have not done this. But they were like, we will go and we will leave. And then that's how all these Brahmanas, they left. Now Gautama Rishi was contemplating what has happened. He's not an ordinary personality. He started meditating. And when he's in his dhyana, he could actually see the whole sequence of events that have happened. And when he saw that, oh, this is the trick of Ganga, it is the trick of Ganesha and these Brahmanas, and he immediately, he cursed these Brahmanas, saying that greatest wealth of all the Brahmanas is the knowledge. So let the knowledge be disappeared from the earth, from the whole planet. So the Vedic knowledge should disappear so that they lose the Vedic knowledge. So Gautama cursed all these Brahmanas that they should not have access to any of the knowledge because of this particular thing that they have done with him. And to purify himself of Gohotya, although it was not a Gohotya, he, out of his power, he called Ganga from the head of Shiva to come on this planet. And then when the waters of the Ganga, they actually flew down and fell on the dead cow, it was again rejuvenated, it was resurrected, and it came live again. It was alive. So Gautama Rishi was very, very powerful. Now, why this connection I'm saying is because the point here is knowledge was lost completely. Now, without knowledge, how will the society run? Without Vedic knowledge, there is no possibility of running the Vedic society. The Varnashrama system and everything was broken, right? So there needs to be the Vedic knowledge in the society. So for that now, there should be a personality who would again come and give this knowledge. And who else can be much better than the Lord himself? So now, there was a great son or the great rishi called Parashara Muni. Parashara Muni was the son of Shakti, a sage called Shakti. Shakti is the son of Vashishta. So Vashishta, son Shakti, Shakti's son is Parashara Muni. And Vashishta is one of the son of the great Brahma, right? So Parashara Muni in that sense is the great grandson of Brahma. Now this Parashar Muni had done a lot of tapasya, and after doing some tapasya, when Lord came, he had a desire that the Lord himself should come as a son, his son. That was the desire. Of whom? It was the desire of Parashar Muni when he was doing a lot of tapasya. And then it so happened that there was at the same time another daughter of Pitra Devata. Her name was Achodha. Now, Achodha, who is the daughter of Pitra Devata, she also had a similar prayer, and she also had the desire to have the son and the Lord himself to be her son. So now Lord said, okay, I have to appear, take one incarnation for him, one incarnation for her. Let us club this together. So then what happened was Parashar Muni was ready, and here this Achodha, she descended. A very interesting story, actually. Now there was this very great king called Uparichara Vasu, a great king in the lineage of the Chandra Vamsha, the Soma Vamsha. Uparichara Vasu was once on a hunting expedition. So he was hunting, and while hunting, he actually thought of his wife. He had a pleasant memories of his wife, and he remembered his wife, and he wanted to. It was very pleasant, and immediately because of that remembrance of his wife, there was the discharge that happened. So he collected his semen in a container, and he asked one bird to carry and give it to his wife. So as the bird was flying, there was an air fight. An eagle came and attacked this bird, which was carrying the semen of this Uparichara Vasu, and that container fell into the Yamuna river. And there was a fish. That fish actually took this container in the mouth, and this fish was actually a cursed Apsara. Her name was Adrika. She was cursed, and she took this, and then one fisherman, when he was actually fishing, he caught this fish. And then when he cut open this fish, there were two babies. The fisherman actually took these two babies, and one baby was given to the king. The king said, "No, no, I want the male child." There was one male, one female child. So the male child, the um, king said, "I will keep," and the girl child was given to the fisherman. So that Matsya Raja, he created a Matsya Raja. Matsya Raja, later on, that's a different story. But then here, this Achodha was, who is now born as a daughter of this fisherman. He started raising this girl, and because she had a very specific smell, because she was born out of the fish, she was having a wonderful aroma. That's why her name became Matsyagandha. And this Matsyagandha is none other than Satyavati. So this Matsyagandha, Satyavati, now once she, because she's a daughter of a fisherman, she was also rowing the boats for all the people who would cross the Yamuna river. And once now Parashar Muni comes, and Parashar Muni comes and meets Matsyagandha, Satyavati, and now there are crazy people who have no background of what is right and what is wrong. They do not understand these personalities, and they simply say that Parashar Muni was infatuated by Satyavati, and there was a Vyabhichara. They just united without any marriage, and this is how he was so lusty, and so many things they create. Oh my God! They go on to say, there was a verse. They say that Vyasadeva was born out of Vyabhichara. He was born out of Parashar Muni and Satyavati out of Vyabhichara. And then they also claim that they say such nuisance, they are most horrific people. They also say that once Vyasadeva was meditating, and there was a parrot, and the parrot was a female parrot, and Vyasadeva got attracted to the parrot, and then there was Indraskalana that happened, and he begot a child from the parrot, and that was Shukadev Goswami. And that's why, because it was born out of the parrot, his name was kept as Shuka, because he had a beak. His nose was like a beak of a parrot. So many stories they build up like this, which is completely unauthorized. So they say that Purana Karta Vyabhichara Jataha Tasyapi Putro Vyabhichara Jataha. Purana Karta is Vyasadeva. Vyabhichara Jataha. He was born out of Vyabhichara. And then Tasyapi Putro Vyabhichara Jataha. His son also was born out of Vyabhichara. That is Shukadev Goswami. So such offensive statements people make. which is very, very wrong. So it is not the truth. Actually, Madhvacharya very beautifully explains this in the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, where he says that actually Parashar Muni met Satyavati, and when he met Satyavati, it actually was so wonderful that Satyavati and uh, Parashar Muni, they were on an island of Yamuna, and there appeared his grandfather Vashishta, because Shakti was dead. His father of Parashar Muni was dead. Vashishta was there present, and the father of Satyavati, that is the actual father, that is the Uparicharya Vasu, was present, and then Brahma was also there. Actually, they got married in a very wonderful Vedic way, and there was a marriage conducted. And when there was a marriage between Parashar Muni and Satyavati, immediately the Lord appeared. True, he entered the womb of Satyavati and immediately appeared. Just like Narsimha appeared from the Stamba, when Lord can appear as a Stamba, he can also appear like that in from the womb of Satyavati. Immediately, Vyasadeva was born. And because he was born, his name was kept Krishna. He was blackish in complexion. And Dvaipayana, because he was born on an island. Dvipa is island, and because he was born on an island, his name is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Vyasa because he divided the Veda from 1 to 4. Vyasa means to, to divide. So Vyasa Deva. So Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa is the Vyasa Deva for this 28th cycle of our Brahma's lifetime, this particular Manvantara. Right? So now the point here is Vyasadeva appeared in this fashion. So this is very, very special. Now this is called, anybody who is born like this, they are called sometimes as Karnina. Karnina means one who is born outside the marriage is called Karnina. But here is not Karnina. Vyasadeva is not Karnina because there was a marriage conducted. But there was this Karna. Karna was born out of marriage. He's called Karnina. Here, Karnina means one who is born outside the wedlock, marriage wedlock, is called Karnina. But here in the case of Vyasadeva, is called Guda Karnina. Guda Karnina means there was actually a marriage performed, which is not very well known to many people. So Madhvacharya clarifies this. So this is how Vyasadeva was born. This needs to be clarified. I'm telling this story. Why? Because I personally was once in my college days, I attacked by one of my roommate. He was very much telling about this particular story of Parashar Muni. Oh, he was such a lusty person, and he, was there with Satyavati on the boat, and they begot a child immediately. Oh, and that Vyasadeva, he is writing all these scriptures. So offensive these people are. That's why I'm trying to tell you this so that you are very clear about this. When people argue like this, you should have the back of who is Vyasadeva. So now you understand. And Vyasadeva, of course, when he comes, he started giving wonderful knowledge. He has given Mahabharata, he has given Bhagavad Gita, he has given Srimad Bhagavatam, the Puranas, and whatnot, the Vedanta Sutras also. So all this Vedic knowledge, which was actually lost because of Gautam Rishi, again was back into the society because of Vedavyasa. Right? So this is how Vedavyasa, birth of Vedavyasa has to be understood. There is so much to be known about Vedavyasa. Right? And then Krishna is further saying that among the thinkers, I am Ushana Kavi. Now, Ushana, this is another very interesting story. I don't know if we have that much time, but we'll still try to extend and explain and try to understand about Ushana. Ushana is Shukracharya. Shukracharya is called Ushana. Ushana Kavi. There is a very great sage in the Rig Veda mantras. There is a great sage who were called as Ushana Kavis. Ushana. So, because Shukracharya came in this descendant, he was a descendant of this Ushana Kavi. He is also called as Ushana. So what is this? Why Krishna is saying that, I am Ushana, Shukracharya. Last time also we discussed why he had to be calling a demoniac, who is the spiritual master of the demons. He is being referred to here as Ushana, and Krishna is saying, I am that guru of the Daityas, the Daityacharya or the Asuracharya. Sometimes Shukracharya is also called as Asuracharya. So Why is Krishna saying, I am Shukracharya? Here, this is a very important point. So we should know the background of Ushana also a little bit. A very interesting story. All of you can hear this very wonderful story. Actually, it's uh, explained in many of the Puranas. But then the story of Shukracharya is very, very, very special. So now we know that there is Brahma. Brahma created a son called Bhrigu. Bhrigu Rishi is actually the son of Brahma. So Bhrigu had a wife called Khyati. So Bhrigu Rishi and Khyati both had a son called, called him as Kavi. In his childhood, he was called as Kavi. So this Kavi, when he was little grown up, he was sent to a Gurukul of Angiras. Now Angiras is again the son of Brahma. So Angiras goes there, and then he was sent to Angiras, and Angiras had a son. Rishi Angiras had a son whose name was Jiva. Now, Jiva is none other than Brahaspati. Who is Brahaspati? Brahaspati is the, any idea? Who is Brahaspati? Brahaspati is the spiritual master
Of the
of,
Devatas.
of the Devatas. So, now you see this. Angiras is there. Angiras' son is Jiva, who is actually Brahaspati. And here comes the Bhrigu's son, who is Kavi, as the student of Angiras. So Angiras is teaching to his son and also to his student who is Kavi. Now what happened was actually Kavi Shukracharya was actually a little more intelligent than Jiva. Now definitely he was not an Brahaspati, Jiva was not an ordinary personality. He is also very intelligent. But Shukracharya, Kavi was a little more intelligent. Shukracharya. Shukra also sometimes it is referred to as Shukla. Shukla means light, very bright. Okay. So once Angiras Rishi wanted to test both of them. One is his son, one is his student. So he asked a question to his son, Jiva. He asked his son, Angiras Rishi asked the question, what is faster than wind? So Jiva was thinking, oh, what could be that? But he could not answer. And then when the same question was asked, what is faster than wind? Kavi immediately replied, stating that it is the mind. The mind is faster than the wind. So Angiras was very happy, very pleased. He asked another question. He asked the question, what has actually covered the whole world? What is that one thing which covers the whole world? And then Jiva was thinking again, he could not give the proper answer. The same question was passed on to Kavi, and Kavi immediately said, ignorance. That avidya is something which has actually covered the whole world. And Angiras was very, very pleased. But still, he wanted to give another chance to his son, Jiva. So he asked another question. What is laziness? He asked, what is laziness? And Angiras was now becoming very impatient. You know, Jiva was about to, he's thinking, he was not able to speak out, but before he could speak, he asked the same question to Kavi, and Kavi was spontaneous. He immediately said, anybody who does not perform dharma immediately is very lazy. Any who does not perform the activities of dharma is a lazy person. So Angiras was like, my God, this person is very, very intelligent than my own son. So Angiras was a little biased towards his son. He wanted his son, Jiva, to become more prominent. So he, instead of correcting his son and teaching his son wonderful things, he took a tamasic way. There is a sattvic way of dealing with situation, then there is a tamasic way. And here he actually took the tamasic way. And what is that tamasic way? He told Kavi that, oh, Kavi, you please go get some wood, you do this activity, you clean my ashram and all these things. And Angiras is teaching to all of the students in the Gurukul. And this was going on for a few months. And Kavi is thinking, why is my Guru avoiding me? Why is he not actually calling me? You know, he's taking sessions, classes to everyone. He's teaching and giving Brahma Vidya to everyone, but not me. And I'm doing all these menial things. Why only me? So very respectfully, very humbly, he goes to his Guru after some time and he says, my dear master, please tell me, have I done anything wrong? Please forgive me. I see that you have been teaching the Brahma Vidya to everyone. You are giving knowledge to everyone, but not me. But you're asking me to do all these menial things. Is there something that I have done wrong? And Angiras was like furious. He said that, how dare you ask me these questions? Why are you doubting your spiritual master like this? And just go away from this place. So he did not speak a word. So Kavi just woke up and then he started walking outside the ashram of Angiras. This is a problem. See, this kind of discrimination spoils the society. And we have seen this multiple times happening in the Vedic history, that many times such brahmanas, sages, when they do not overcome these emotions of greed, emotions of envy, then these problems erupt in the society. So this Shukracharya goes to the ashram of Gautama Rishi again. He goes to Gautama, and Gautama is very pleased by the attitude, and he starts giving him so many different vidyas, from archery to Brahma Vidya, everything. He's absorbing all the knowledge. So Kavi was full with knowledge now. And after acquiring a lot of knowledge, Gautama Rishi says, "Oh, my dear boy, you are still capable of acquiring a lot of knowledge, but I have given you everything that I could have. I have everything and I've given you whatever I had. So now I think it's time for you to actually go to Lord Shiva and ask and get further knowledge." So meanwhile, it so happened that Kavi actually goes and then he gets, before he goes to uh, Shiva, he goes and gets married. So his first marriage happened with the daughter of Priyavrata. Her name was Urjaswati, and he got 5 sons from Urjaswati: Chanda, Shanda, Amarka, Twashtra, and Dharatra. Now, the Shanda and Amarka are the same sons of Shukracharya, who actually were the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj. Shanda and Amarka were teaching. So they are actually the sons of Shukracharya. So he got 5 sons from here, this daughter of Priyavrata. And then he thought, okay, it's time for me to go for tapasya. And then he's doing a lot of tapasya. How he's doing tapasya? Very interesting. He goes and finds a big tree and he hangs upside down from the branch of a tree. His head is down, and for many, many years he's doing tapasya. And while doing tapasya, he also has put a lot of firewood and that smoke. He's inhaling the smoke, which is just below his body. So there is so much of smoke that is being coming out, and he's hanging out from the branch. And Indra became now very insecure, like every time. So Indra sends his daughter Jayanti that you go and disrupt this tapasya. And then Jayanti comes, and what she does was she takes all these red hot chilies and she puts into the firewood, and then that hot fumes that come, it enters into the bodies of Shukracharya, and there is so much of blood and coming out of the eyes and the nose and the ears and the mouth. Seeing this tapasya of Shukracharya, in spite of all that trouble, he still continued his tapasya. Lord Shiva was very pleased. He immediately appeared and then he said, "My dear son, what do you want? You have done great tapasya. I'm very pleased." And then it so happens that actually Kavi, who is Shukracharya, actually, he says that, "Lord Shiva, please bless me with wonderful knowledge." And then Lord Shiva gives him the greatest of the knowledge, which never in the history anybody would have got. And that was Mrita Sanjeevani. That knowledge of Mrita Sanjeevani is the knowledge of reviving people who are dead. So Mrita Sanjeevani is that knowledge from where you can actually resurrect the dead people. So that was given to Shukracharya. Very, very powerful now. Shukracharya is very powerful. And Jayanti, who is actually the daughter of Indra, she also understood that she has done a great mistake. And in order to somehow compensate for the mistake that she has done, then she renders herself for the service of Shukracharya, and she gets married to Shukracharya. Now you can imagine the Shukracharya is getting married to the enemy's daughter, and then Shukracharya and Jayanti, they give birth to one of the most prominent personality, that is Devyani. Devyani will understand a little bit more sometimes in the future session, but she was born out of Shukracharya and Jayanti. So now the point here is, what happened with this whole Mrita Sanjeevani was, there was always a constant fight between the Devatas and the Daityas. Both of them keep fighting, and then the Devatas had actually overpowered the Daityas when Shukracharya was doing tapasya. But now Shukracharya is in full power, and then he comes back and starts reviving, resurrecting all the dead Daityas, and the Devatas could not actually fight back. They all got defeated very, very badly. So now they were in trouble, and then the Daityas were thinking that why should we even leave Kailasha? We should even take Kailasha and attack. Then Lord Shiva assumed a very huge form, and he just, gulped Shukracharya. He just took Shukracharya into his belly, Lord Shiva. And then again, the Devatas and the whole situation was balanced and everything was going well. But there, Shukracharya, sitting in the belly of Lord Shiva, he was doing tapasya there also. Now, this is determination. In spite of being in the belly, he was doing tapasya. He was he was hopeful that, I'm not going to die. I'm still going to do something. And after many thousands of years of tapasya in the belly of Lord Shiva, then Shukra and Lord Shiva said, oh my God, this is a very determined person. So he again vomited him back, and then he said, what do you want? In fact, he did not say, what do you want? Lord Shiva said, because of your tapasya, I'm very pleased, and I will make you the prominent personality in this whole cosmos, and that is, you become the Shukra, the planet Shukra. That's the planet Venus. Venus is very white in nature, and Shukracharya was also very white in nature. That's why Shukla. So all these different things came out, and he became a very prominent personality. And Shukracharya, there are many things to be spoken about Shukracharya, and there are a lot of connecting stories, but if I just continue, it will not end. So there are some amazing things to be known about Shukracharya, because he has done so much and contributed so much to the society, because there is something called as the Shukraniti. Shukraniti, just like Chanakya Niti, there is Shukraniti. So which talks about political science. Now, we all know that there is the beautiful pastime of Shukracharya and Bali Maharaj and Lord Vamana. I just recently, one of the devotees sent me this image. So beautiful carving, actually depicts how there is Trivikrama, Lord Vamana, and there is Bali Maharaj here. You can see Bali Maharaj praying to the Lord Trivikrama, and just behind, close to the leg of Trivikrama, there is Shukracharya. That is Shukracharya, who is trying to stop Bali Maharaj from giving that boon to the Vamana, a small dwarf boy. Actually, what happened was Shukracharya knew that it is Vishnu, and then he actually, when Bali Maharaj, he was quite a devotee, and he said that I'm still going to give him the boon. So he took his kamandalu, and he was about to take a vow that I'm going to give this Brahmana all that he has asked for. At that time, Shukracharya entered the kamandalu of Bali Maharaj, and he blocked the water, the spout of the Kamandalu. And then Vamana, he takes a blade of grass, the Kusha grass, he takes the Darba grass, and then he pierces the spout, and then it gets pierced. The eye of Shukracharya gets pierced, and he becomes blind. Shukracharya becomes blind. And then later on, the whole story we are aware. But then Shukracharya again, he does a lot of tapasya, and he pleases Shiva, and he gets back his sight. So this is the whole pastime. So there is a lot of back and forth. Actually, Shukracharya was little against the Devatas, because his mother, Khyati, Khyati was, when he went for tapasya earlier, he was hanging from the branch. He had kept his mother Khyati as the in charge of all the Daityas. Khyati was protecting all the Daityas at that time. And Lord Vishnu, what happened was, he came in search of one demon, a Daitya. But when Khyati was protecting, Lord Vishnu had to chop off the head of Khyati, the mother. So Shukracharya was little against Lord Vishnu, because his mother was killed by Lord Vishnu and the Devatas. Were the reason for that. So that's why he did not join the post of the Devata, this thing. He had to become the guru of the Daitya for that one reason. So that is why then when Khyati was, the Khyati is the wife of who? Bhrigu Rishi. And Bhrigu Rishi, when he came to know that my wife is being killed by Vishnu he has killed my wife, I will curse Vishnu that from now onwards he will experience birth and death. He will also experience birth and death. So the earlier incarnations before this curse, like Matsya, the Kurma, then the Varaha and Narsimha, they had no parents. They were just coming out whenever the Lord wanted in sense to a specific form. They all came out of the will of the Lord. But after this curse of Bhrigu Rishi, Lord had to appear in the wombs. Devaki, Rama, and Buddha, and later on as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then later on after this he started having parents. Otherwise, he would just come out of his own will. But because of this particular curse of Bhrigu Rishi, the Lord also had to undergo this birth, old age, disease, and death. Of course, the birth and death cycle is not meant for Lord, but just he had to appear and accept some parents. So this is a lot of things and a lot of information that has gone. So I think for this 1 week at least, you can digest all that is being told, and nicely you can contemplate on all these beautiful pastimes. Then now you know that who is Shukracharya. Now you know who is Vyasadeva. All these things will help. Okay. So any questions?
Prabhuji, you spoke about mantra.
Yes.
So I heard that mantra you have to chant it in a very pure state. You have to have a bath and you have to do it in a very proper way. So
Yes.
and Nam, any Nam like Hari Nam, what we chant, that can be done at any time.
Yes. Yes. It can be done anytime,
Yeah,
anywhere.
right. So, but we also call it as Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So,
Yes.
how do we understand? Is it a mantra or is it Nam? And like that's I know we can chant it at any time, but
Yes.
how do we and what is it like? How do we understand?
Actually, it is a mantra because it's a Vedic mantra mentioned in the Upanishads, right? So it is a mantra. But this mantra is special because it has a name, the names of the Lord. It is a mantra, but it has the names of the Lord. So then what happens? Like generally, if you see the Vedic mantras, like, they'll have like Om, Reem, Shreem, all, oh my God, you need to have Brahminical qualification to chant all these different mantras. All these are called Bija mantras. So when because forget about Reem, Shreem, and Klim, all these things require Brahminical qualification. Even Om, if you have to chant Omkara, you need to have Brahminical qualification. But we in Kali Yuga, we do not have the qualities of Brahmanas. So then how do we get the benefit of the mantra? So that is why this is a mantra which has actually no Om or no Bij mantra. I mean, it has Bij mantra, but not the Omkara. Although it represents Omkara, Krishna simplified by just giving the names. So when Hare, Krishna, Rama, these are just the names. So this is a mantra, but this mantra can be chanted irrespective of your external situation, irrespective of your spiritual and material qualification. Anyone and anybody can chant. This is the bonus that we get in Kali Yuga. Otherwise, not possible. Any other mantra, you need to have qualification, but this is a mantra with the names. It's a mantra with the names of the Lord. That's why it is very simple. That's why there is no Omkara in this. We don't chant Om Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, it's not like that.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good. So very nice. So there were certain things. Yes, madam.
It was
Sorry,
very
your voice
nice.
is. Oh, acha. Okay. Yeah, these are very fascinating and very interesting stories. They are very informative at the same time. When we hear these pastimes, we get to know how much is gone into this whole Sanatan Dharma, the culture, what all contributions are there, the effects of these great personalities on us today. That's why, although there are so many people who have tried to invade our country and trying to disturb our country in so many ways, they could not because it is too deep rooted. For example, just this that is there on the screen, the sculpture that is there on the screen. How many they can even destroy. This is something, even if people want to forget, they will try to understand who is this person, and again it will be revived. Because the nature of Sanatan Dharma is so wonderful that it cannot be destroyed completely. Although people may try to do that, but it is just impossible because our temple architectures, our knowledge, it is called Shruti, it is all given by oral reception, so it cannot be lost. It will always come back in some other way. It cannot be lost. The Vedic knowledge will always be there. Very special.
Yes, sir.
Good. So I have a discussion to do about the yatra that we were planning. So, but before we discuss that, I would like to thank everyone who has joined YouTube session on YouTube. We will join again next Sunday and continue from where we have left. I think next Sunday will be the last session on chapter 10. So we are going to complete chapter 10 in the next session. There are about 4 or 5 verses. We'll complete that in the next session. Thank you so much for joining. We'll meet again. Hare Krishna.